All right, hi everybody, and welcome to the first Green Square Talks Battlebots interview here for Proving Grounds segment. For this first one, we have a pretty familiar face to Battlebots. We got Banshee joining us as David Small, and then also joining us to answer questions, we have Dottie and Zassa both here. So, how's it going, all of you?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey. We also have Colby.
Gotta love cats. Oh, there's one of my cats over there.
Fundamental member of Team Banshee.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The leader, really.
Yeah, one of my little cats is down here. Sadly, I can't address my camera well enough. We'll just say that she's part of the Green Square crew. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is the first interview of many, basically, where we're talking with multiple of the Proving Grounds competitors. Idea is kind of like spread awareness a little bit of lots of these robots, even if they have been in Battlebots previously, and yeah, kind of learn more about the robots and their matches so far, and maybe their upcoming matches. So yeah. So first question then. I think we already know enough about you and the robot so far since you've been in Battlebots, but yeah, since you've been in Battlebots during the recent season, what are kind of some of the issues that you look to work through for next season, and how did you kind of address lots of those problems?
Okay, so the two really big issues we had were one, the drive would get tired almost, where halfway through the fight it would just come to a crawl. If you look at like the Valkyrie fight, the emulsifier fight, it's just painfully scooting along. And that was just a problem with our gear reduction. It was geared to go way too fast. The motor controllers couldn't handle the speeds we were trying to push out of it. And what we do is the current protection and the temperature protection, instead of bursting into flames like fusion, it just limits the amount of power that it'll churn out. So instead of a big fire, we just have a slow robot, which isn't as spectacular, but we don't lose any electronics at least. So that was fixed just by changing the sprockets around so that it has a slower top speed but a better acceleration. And you can see in the maximum paralysis fight, we're driving all over the place with no problems at all. So that's all fixed and good to go. Then the other problem was the RAM, the pneumatic RAM that makes the weapon fire. It's designed to leak on purpose so that we don't need an exhaust valve. So you fire once, you fill with air, and then there's a tiny little pinhole that the air leaks out of. In addition to that, the two pieces of the RAM that are bolted together, it also leaks out of to help air come out. And I greatly over exaggerated or underestimated how much air would dump out of that. So we got to the point where it wasn't even filling up, it would just barely pop and a bunch of air would gush out. So that resulted in really weak flips, and then also just a ton of wasted air. So we get like 4 or 5 flips per match, which is awful. But if you watch again the maximum paralysis fight, I counted, I think, like 18 times we were able to fire the arm. So that's a massive improvement that I wish I could redo every season 7 fight with this new setup. So that's the really two big ones I wanted to get out of the way for Proving Grounds, because that's what Banshee should have been from the beginning. Obviously, we learned a lot from season 7. The big thing kind of for season 8 is to implement some sort of disposable armor, so that when we draw Cobalt again or some really hard hitting spinner, we don't total the whole frame. We have a replaceable side piece that gets swapped out instead, or Manta. Yeah, because Nick has fought me against my flippers in 2 different weight classes now. If Manta and Banshee fight, that'll be 3 weight classes, and he always does a ton of damage, and I do not want to deal with a heavyweight version of that. So definitely want some kind of disposable armor where I can swap that out instead of a whole chassis just being totaled. So that's number 1 on the to-do list.
Yeah, I guarantee, like, if assuming that the next season of Battlebots happens and Manta's there in the main competition, because if they apply, there's no way they won't get accepted. But yeah. I imagine that he would probably draw at least one of Banshee, Malice, even some of the other robots that if fought at Robogames.
Can go first. That'd be great.
Even many of the robots that totaled on its way towards winning Robogames. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exit estimator.
you talked a little bit about the maximum paralysis fight. Could you maybe give us a recap of the matches with Overkill and Maximum Paralysis, which are both your weekends there at Proving Grounds? So
Sure. So Overkill happened because we were going to fight Snakebite originally, and then like maybe even the night before or 2 days before the event, John or Greg called me and said, "Hey, John just reached out to us, and there's no way they're going to be able to make it. Do you want to come and fight Overkill?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." There's some stuff we wanted to test, so it was a very one-sided fight, I guess. Overkill. It's not really. I mean, it's a thwack bot in 2023. It's not gonna break you. So it was really cool to fight a Christian Kahlberg robot because, like, obviously, I grew up with 90s and 2000s BattleBots. I grew up with Overkill. I have a toy of Overkill somewhere.
I have toys of
like a
Overkill too.
McDonald's toy. Yeah. So even though Christian wasn't there, his robot was there. So like that was a pretty great moment just to fight him. The RAM did not have its leak issue fixed, so our flips were very weak still. We were still gushing air out everywhere, but we won the fight, and then the next day was basically a repeat of the same thing. So we had 2 more wins now, which also made us look good because you called us for a match and we showed up, and that looks good to the network. It looks good to the BattleBots producers. You can rely on Banshee to show up and a robot will happen. So, but then Maximum Paralysis is always my favorite fight to talk about because that's when everything started working. But actually before that, I always talk about the second Maximum Paralysis fight and not the first one, because in the first fight, everything went wrong. There was a leak in one of the hoses, I believe, and the valve wasn't turning. So we had 0 flips, Maximum Paralysis flipper, my flipper, neither was working, and we just kind of hobbled into each other. I had a wire break off a drive receiver, so I lost drive on one side right when the match started without even a hit going on. So it was a very boring, very slow. I mean, it's 2 crippled robots just kind of slapping into each other at 2 miles per hour. So it's basically as bad as you can get. But then we got it turned around for the next day, where Jeff Waters of Jackpot worked his Jeff magic and found some grease gun hoses at Harbor Freight that were infinitely better than the ones we were using in every single way. They were thicker, stronger. They were shorter. Ours were so long that we were actually wrapping them around the air tanks and then putting them into the robot. So it was just a huge waste of weight and space. But these ones were nice and short, and they came with protective coils around them. They were just fantastic, and that worked great. We had I'm totally blanking on the guy's name. He's one of the Mad Catter teammates who's also out there in Vegas, but he welded the RAM together, so the seam can't leak if there's no seam, right? So all the air stayed inside. We were able to flip Maximum Paralysis over and over and over and over again, and that was just so exhilarating to see my robot working the way it's supposed to. If we were to run through the fight, I guess, it started off with, I love box rushing, especially against spinners, but I'll box rush anyone, I don't care. And slam into him, got a nice flip, nice pop of him in the air. He flips over. I wait for his weapon to fire, and it didn't. He was using really, really small chain to implement his flywheel flipper, which, first of all, props to him for attempting, a flywheel flipper. That's an extremely complicated mechanism. Only, people with Aaron Hill type minds can wrap their heads around, and just to even attempt that is impressive, and it's still really cool. But their chain broke, the weapon didn't fire, so we're not at Proving Grounds to just win. Obviously, we want to demonstrate that our our robot is entertaining and can put on a good show. So I flipped him back over, tossed him a few more times. We tossed him up onto the upper deck, and the shelf jump was something I practiced the day before because
Yes.
Bronco did it during the live show, and I was like, I can do that. So I want to be cool like Bronco. So it was smoother when I practiced. It just took me one try, and I hopped up on there. During the fight, it took me like one try to drive back off, and then I jumped up again, and then I almost fell off, but it got up there, and the crowd loved that. They went absolutely nuts. Then what some people noticed was that the arm, after it would flip, it was all floppy, and it would take a bit to pop back down. The flipper is so strong now with the improved pneumatics that we ripped the straps, both straps that hold the arm in place, because it's so powerful now, which is a cool problem to have. But now we need stronger straps, but we'll figure that out. So yeah, now we have to wait for the arm to flop back down into its spot, and then we can flip again. So then the rest of the match was just toss maximum paralysis back over, flip them again, do that 16 more times, and then run out of time. And the whole time we kept flipping. It took forever to run out of gas, and the drive kept going the whole time. So that was the turning point for Banshee's not a bad robot anymore. It's actually kind of decent. So.
That's awesome, and that answered part 2 of the question that I was going to ask, which was how well did those upgrades work? And yeah, they sounds like they worked great.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yep. I can sleep at night now. I'm not worried. Oh no, everybody wants my robot to be replaced with XCD. What do I do? Like, yeah.
I want both of them, to be honest.
By the way, the Banshee YouTube link will be linked in the description of this thing. On the channel, there's a video for the maximum paralysis fight that he's talking about. And yeah, one of my favorite Proving Grounds moments so far has to be that shelf moment. And, yeah, the other big one that I could think of is Gigabyte de-shelling another robot, which was funny. So,
and then any Manta fight.
Yes, any Manta fight.
Oh, those fights. The videos for those fights do not do them justice. Being in the crowd for one of those, I thought we were all going to die.
Or being arena side. So I was on Nick's team for Robogames. They were nice enough to fly me out there to help with the robot. So I'm like, yeah, I'll work on Manta. Like, I should be paying you. But
work on Manta, aka studying it.
Yeah, definitely took some notes. Like, oh, what do you got going on here? But yeah, the way Manta blasts things and pieces of robots out of the arena, causing several breaches, makes it a little scary to stand arena side when you're watching. But
imagine if Manta drew Tombstone at some point.
Oh yeah, that would have been fantastic. Honestly, I bet Manta would have won.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it.
I would say so.
Yeah, and so anyway, then, what's your favorite match of Proving Grounds so far? Whether it's one of your matches or one of the other matches we've seen in Proving Grounds so far.
Okay.
If you can't decide on just one, you can list. That makes sense.
Yeah, but to exclude my own fights, I think another unappreciated one was Manta Ray or Disarray and Jackpot. When Jackpot just turned the entire front of Disarray into dust and caused the fire to happen. Like the whole robot was just gone after that. That was a really cool hit. Like I said earlier, any Manta fight where I think it was Triton, where it was just a massive explosion. Triton got roofed, and it was just a terrifying display of power that I am lucky I was not drawn for.
That's totally fair.
On that subject, actually, I was going to ask of the other robots who have gone to Proving Grounds, which one would you most want to fight, and which one would you be most scared of fighting?
That's a good one.
Aside from Manta.
Yeah, Manta would be the most scared of, but I can try to think of another one. What was the name of the Hacker Smith one that had the two spinners
Orbitron?
on it? Orbitron did a lot better than I thought it would, if I'm being completely honest.
I'm really looking forward to their next appearance in spring.
I really want to fight Travesty.
Oh yeah.
Not because I think it'd be an easy win. I just think it'd be a ton of fun. It's such
that thing is so crazy.
It'd be such a goofy fight. I think it would just be super entertaining.
I really want to see how that thing would fight a flipper, the way it moves.
Yep, I had to throw the wedge on. I still have holes in the wedge from Horizon.
Oh wow.
Horizon's another great robot that I think is kind of underrated these days.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're
But-
looking good.
Yeah, those are tombstone levels of hole in Banshee's wedge now.
For sure.
It hits harder than you think.
Oh yeah. I think the Shatter team kind of got like the first like huge dose of it,
Yeah.
especially with that upper deck shot that Alex was talking about when she was on the podcast for that episode review. And
Okay, I have to watch that fight again. I remember Bunny from Malice, seeing that I was going to fight Horizon, and she's like, "You saw what they did to Shatter, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
oh yeah. Oh, yeah, that fight is just one. That's just one of those really. If there was any fight that I think was really underrated, I would list that one as my
Okay.
number one. Like,
I need to rewatch it again. It was definitely a good one.
yeah, it was awesome. But yeah. Anyway, then for the next question, then this was actually came from a request from Kyle from Hypershock himself. What design challenge do you feel is critical to overcome for your robot to reach the next level?
It's using air instead of electricity. It's building a flipper instead of a 4-wheel drive vert. That's the challenge. It is. It's not easy to build a fighting robot, but to build a spinner compared to a flipper, it's pretty easy. So much simpler. It's so much less space, less complexity. It's better in every single way, basically, except fun, in my opinion, which is why I do it. So
Yeah, I think that's a lot why Aaron Hill moved away from Blip. Basically, he talked about before the tantrum match just how much fun it is to drive flippers, and the fact that it's not it doesn't have a spinner for its weapons. So
yeah, so no gyro's nice, and then just I'd like to get Banshee to Bronco levels of power and just bounce people off the roof all the time, and that would make me satisfied. I'm not giving up on this robot until that happens, but
yeah,
Oh,
be the next robot to send another one into the ceiling, like Hydra and Riptide both did.
Oh
at the
yeah,
recent
that's
season,
a tough
so.
one, but maybe someday.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway then, next question then. Darren asked this one. He asked this question to every single builder that we usually have on the podcast. If you could redo any of your matches so far, which one would you choose and what would you do differently?
Okay. Geez, I think the fight I regret the most is Blip because our valve motor, we learned, burns out very easily. That's why in the last 2 Banshee fights with Emulsifier and Blip, the flipper didn't work. So that was very frustrating. But that attachment that Blip put on, like that big aluminum chunk, would have given us a free win probably if Banshee was actually working correctly. So I think if I were to go into the Blip fight again with the new forks that I have, not the old ones, because those didn't work very well, and that's why I didn't run them half the time. It would be go in there, be confident in your ground game, and make sure you've got a fresh valve motor in there, and you'll probably win.
That makes sense.
Love that.
Yeah, I've always heard some interesting answers from that one. I think the most interesting one I heard was Scorpios from the uppercut fight, where they said they accidentally came into the arena with the wrong wheel type, and that really costed them the match against uppercut back in 2019. So
all their cocaine went everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Keep those hidden in the treads. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. And then next question, between your robot and all the others who have been to Proving Grounds so far, what factors do you kind of think make your robot stand out and deserving of a spot in Battlebots next season? Whether it's like experience, design, quality of fights, so on, entertainment.
Okay.
I know you talked about that one a little bit.
Yeah. So, obviously we were on BattleBots already, and we beat Valkyrie, which is kind of a big deal. I know they weren't at their peak performance, but still a big name to take down. So I'm going to keep saying it. So, we showed up our first rookie season and we got a win. I think that's kind of a big deal. We didn't show up and just lose 4 matches. So that's, I think, kind of important. We have the capability to win. The crowd loved the shelf jump. We can do cool, wacky things that are entertaining. We have a unique weapon type. We're not a spinner. We're a flipper, and those are kind of a dying breed. And a lot of flipper builders don't want to come back, but we're willing to come back still. So that's, I think, something that looks good for us. And then the other thing is attendance and reliability. So they asked us to come to 4 proving ground fights, and we showed up to 4 fights, and we got 4 wins. So we can be counted on. So
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Sure.
Another factor that I don't think should go unmentioned is you have a very good stage presence. You play to the crowd very well. So
actually,
don't sell yourself short.
That was something I was not expecting, because I do that. I do the goofy voice, the like, "'Tis I, David Small, Banshee," and this kid came up to me after the maximum paralysis fight, and he's like, "You did fantastic out there." we had this back and forth. We were both doing the mighty warrior voice, and I see you are a brave and up and coming warrior yourself. And we did that for like 15 minutes, and the mom's like, "Can you stop?" And we're both like, "No." But that was great. Like, Banshee is obviously not the most popular robot, so to have like a fan like actually super excited about how we did and wanting to interact with us was a huge deal to me. So yeah, definitely we'll continue doing the goofy voice and waving a sword around in a kilt, so don't worry about that.
I was really hoping that they do it like how they did a chair fight between Overhaul and Big Dill last season. I was hoping they'd do like a sword fight. And I know multiple times in Uda Discord server, a bunch of us were talking about what 4 robots should there be in there. We always brought up Overhaul because Charles was showing off his sword.
Yeah,
we talked
Black
about
Dragon has a sword.
Yep, we talked about Scorpios with the Overkill blade, Shatter with the Mary Special hammer, and then
Did you recognize Dragon King's sword when they came out for their fight? That was my sword.
Oh, okay.
They're like, "Hey, can we borrow your sword? We want to do a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Imagine Diane holding on to that sword, all the crazy stuff she would do.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what I have is I have an entire album of various BattleBots competitors holding the sword and doing like a cool
that's awesome.
little poses with it. So I need to get that out. My favorite one is by far Daniel Freitas.
That I gotta see.
Powerful. He's way too strong now. This was a mistake.
Terrifying thought.
So that'll be a post at some point. Is the everybody holding the Banshee sword album.
Nice.
That I have to see. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Team Small Robots on Facebook and Instagram.
Well, anyway, the next question then is basically this is the first time Battlebots has done Proving Grounds, and yeah, mostly because of all the property related things. Basically, what are your just opinions on Proving Grounds in general, and why? Like, did you like it, not like it, and reasons for that?
Gotcha. So I think it's awesome for new teams or old teams who want to like a do-over like we did, and it's exactly what the name implies, to prove that you're worthy of being a full-time competitor. So I think that's awesome. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think it's to an extent doing a great job. What I don't like about it is that it's very limiting to who shows up. I've gone to 4 different fights, or 2 weekends, because I can drive 5 hours with Banshee in my car and attend there. If you're across the country or across the world, there's very, very little incentive for you to go. You don't get compensated. You don't get any money for this. It's all on your own dime. So I think if they were to start paying people who are willing to show up, maybe if they prove that they have a robot that moves, at least send them a little bit, maybe not even everything to cover the cost, but something just to get some more further away from the Southwest to come out and fight.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on with lots of my opinions on it, because I like how it's an opportunity for new robots to show off what they they can do with their design and show off like what gremlins there are within the system. And then even veteran teams, because like you're not the only veteran team that showed up, because like we've seen robots like Horizon, Gigabyte, Jackpot, Scorpios, and so on who all come there to test out upgrades. And even some teams not in an actual fight, because I've heard Cobalt's been there multiple times to drive around the arena and test out upgrades. And but then yeah, it's always hard. It's so I've always told about how much harder it is for international teams, because there are quite a few other teams that I feel would be interested in coming, because I know Boltergeist is probably the big example I can think of. Orion probably is another example of that. I know there's another team,
Bring back Orby.
Orby, and then I know there was another Orc robot that they were looking to they were hoping to bring to Battlebots, and then would be one that I think would be really cool to see at Proving Grounds. Imagine if we saw that robot, because it was a cluster bot fight the twins and stuff.
Oh wow!
See a cluster
chaos
bot.
robots everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Repeat of Gemini and the Four Horsemen from a couple seasons ago. So
yeah, yeah. Orion is a robot that I'd love to fight. You know,
Ooh,
if they
yeah.
come down, if they want to do a Proving Grounds, Orion, if you're watching this, you know, the Orion versus
Throw
Banshee
down the
going.
gauntlet.
Mhm.
I love David Allen. They always make such fun robots. Apollo is one of my favorite robots in Robot Wars, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love to see them in Battlebots in the future, but I know it's difficult for them both travel wise and
Yeah.
just getting
It's expensive, a lot
into
of time.
Battlebots regardless. So yeah, and so next question then, which is a little less serious of a question. Are we going to see the
Alright.
Banshee scream in the future?
Ooh,
I was gonna ask that.
for season 8, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been
Yes.
researching 3D printable death whistles that we can attach to the exhaust valves. It'll be fun to test that because my neighbors are going to think I'm murdering someone in my house. But, but
weird
yeah,
thing
I would.
to explain to the cops when you own a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
But,
basically
yeah.
they hear the Banshee scream from the garage or wherever you work with Banshee. Then they come over to see what's going on, and then they see a sword in the background, basically.
Hi, Barb. Some weather we're having.
Some crazy wind. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was something we wanted to do for the first version, but you know, we were short on time, and we were I don't know if you know that story. We were like 10 minutes away from being disqualified.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
Dang.
that's just my part of it's my fault because you know I got to get the robot done, but we were only given like 2 months to build the thing, so that's a little stressful. But yeah, we were going to be replaced with Slammo if the bot wasn't done in time.
Oh wow.
We got the robot completed and it passed safety with like 10 minutes to spare. And they said, okay, go line up. And we said, well, can we fill up the air tanks again? And they said, well, you have 8 minutes. So unless you can do that, you're going to have to keep it as is. So we went into the switchback fight with like half our air.
Oh wow.
At least it got into the arena in time and managed to put up somewhat of a fight in that one, even if it didn't go to plan exactly. So
yep, that's another fight where I feel like we could have won if it was modern Banshee, but everyone always says that because it's the upgraded version, so of course we'd do better. We're the only ones who upgrade, right? So now we're gonna win.
Fair enough. Zassa and Pori, do you have any questions for David?
Yeah, you can go first.
Well, my big question was going to be the scream. I was going to be like, yeah, well, you know, driving and having a functional flipper are important, but I mean, the scream.
It's up there.
Crucial.
It's a pretty important thing.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing we wanted to do was make death whistles shaped like the Banshee face and give them out to the crowd and just like ruin the event with everyone blowing death whistles as loud as they could. But maybe not on that one, but I don't know.
Give Greg an aneurysm with that.
Mute the crowd again because
it's like somebody gets it's like Sawblaze gets the hammer saw stuck in the top of Banshee, and then when Trey is coming out there to try to separate the robots, just everybody has a Banshee whistle in the crowd, and it's just blowing the heck out of that thing.
He's just gonna say, you know what? No, and then just turn around. And then
Yeah, exactly.
the
Then
match
just
is
send it.
over.
And then
Hit
just
you
send it
with
to the
crowbar
judges.
instead.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Zaza, you got any questions then? Unless if Pori has any more.
Yeah, I was going to ask something since you were talking earlier about how few people build flippers now. What would you say to people who are wanting to build more flippers to get them onto the show? What would your advice to them be?
Like to motivate a builder to keep building a flipper.
Yeah.
I'd want them to understand that they're probably not going to win, but it's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and when you do win, it's all the more impressive. And I think that's something worth dedicating a lot of time and effort into. It's always cool to push the boundaries of what's meta or what's considered competitive. So, and then just do your homework, be safe, don't run 4,000 psi into a Amazon fitting that can do like 20. And
Sounds like there's some tale involving that or something. But
there's a lot of not for heavyweights, but for like beetle weights and stuff. People
oh,
always say, "Hey, can you guys help me with my pneumatics here?" And I, you're lucky to be alive, buddy.
well, I know you're knowledgeable in pneumatics, so yeah, good person to talk to. That or the Bronco team or even Sub-Zero team and stuff. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, Logan's a great guy too. He's always willing to help out. He
You're-
He
recommended a
was really
few
nice.
safety valves for Banshee actually. So he's
you're one of
very
the
knowledgeable.
you're one of the few builders who is building successful pneumatic weapons in the beetleweight and
Yeah.
antweight classes, right?
yeah, for sure.
Kelpie is a record holder for the smallest robot, just period, to use unregulated CO2.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, I
a
like
fun
playing as
little
Copy in
achievement.
Robot Arena too. It's fun.
Yeah, I saw someone made that. I'm like, wow, this works way better
Yeah.
than the real thing.
Yep, I
Yeah,
think that.
I beat Glitch with it, so
Oh, nice.
we're on top. So
I remember actually seeing. I think Highlander's the 1 pound one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually remember. I saw you fight with it at the first ever robot event that I went to back in 2021. I think it was at the Millennium Fandom Bar.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think
I
it won.
didn't know at the time, but I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, oh yeah, he was there.
Yeah. I think that was the event. Kelpie and Highlander both took first place in the same event.
Mhm.
So that was
Yeah,
exciting.
it was
And
pretty
then
impressive.
Millennium Fandom's fantastic. They sponsored Banshee.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you noticed on the side there. They
I saw that the other day watching. I think it was one of the Maximum Paralysis fights, and I saw the logo on there. I was like, holy cow!
yeah. So that's a great place. A lot of fun memories there. So I was more than happy to accept that sponsorship.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I've always seen some really creative sponsorships because I know the Orbitron team sponsored by Warframe and the logo of that game is on there, which is always awesome for a gamer like myself. So
Yeah.
I'll
The other
sponsor
one
a
was
bot one day.
I mean, obviously Malice sponsored us, so that was a huge deal.
yep.
Having inner robot sponsorships is always great. Tony D'Ambrosio from Team Omega, his paintball company sponsored Banshee, and they gave us some awesome deals on air tanks.
Oh, that's
Oh
cool.
heck
So-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a great deal. Also, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, the funniest sponsorship that I'll never get over is during the second season of Battlebots. Two Berg Two Furious was sponsored by a window panel company, which is always amusing. And of course, they
Craig
brought it up
Danby
during one of their
sponsored by
interviews.
that. There was that cat BattleBot app. I forget the name of it. It might have been called Cats.
Oh.
His robot was sponsored by that. I thought that was kind of
Oh
funny.
heck yeah.
Nice.
Maybe we'll have to ask Craig Danby about that because there is an interview planned with him. So,
Oh, there you go.
and that should be entertaining. So, yeah. Unless if Pori or Zaza have any other questions, do you have any final thoughts involving Banshee that you'd like to mention?
I think I've got all mine.
Yeah.
Just you build good robots, dude. Keep it up.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm looking forward. I'm a big fan of Banshee, so I'm looking forward to future of it. Because I mean, like, you're the only. Well, I guess Lucky's pneumatic, but you're like a different breed. You know, like you're the like last like Bronco sort of flipper left. So I definitely want to see success for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping we'll see another season of Banshee and where we get to see like those improvements in action during the season. Because yeah, definitely watching it work during the maximum paralysis fight the way it intended, like you described, it was definitely an incredible thing to see, and it'll be awesome to see what it can do to whatever the field will look like for next season compared to the previous season. So
Yeah, it should flip. It should flip even better next time because we're swapping out the valve motor for an even beefier one that's brushless now. So it should hopefully just dump open super quick and hopefully get some. We're trying to aim for like above Sub-Zero and Lucky levels and start to really
Oh, hell yeah.
get
that
up there
sounds
with our
awesome.
flip height. But obviously won't know till we test it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
for sure. So yeah, unless if anybody else has anything else left to say here, definitely I think that'll do it for this first interview segment. Thanks to David for coming to this and talking with us about Banshee. Was great having you on and getting to talk with you about your Proving Grounds matchup so far and some of the improvements you made to that robot before coming into next season. And it sounds like it should be really exciting, and I can't wait to see what the future looks like. So
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a ton of fun.
yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming.
Sure.
And yeah, then we'll soon move on to the next robot. Okay, so for our next Proving Grounds interview, the next robot we're going to be talking about is Doom. And coming into this one, guessing with us here, we have Alejandro of Doom. So how's it going?
Hello, I'm Dooman. I'm Alejandro. In 2022, I entered Battlebots World Championship 7 with Doom, and we got dropped to an alternate slot. So since then, I've been evolving the design to where it is now. So Doom, the Battlebot, started out as an enlarged invertible hammer saw concept. It has since evolved into a more of an articulated spinner concept with hammer saw capabilities. And when it does hammer saw, it is the largest hammer saw in the world. The Doom also sports a 360-degree armored shell, as well as front and rear weapon invertibility. And we've gotten pretty good at self-righting as well, so we can self-right from any orientation with the weapon arm.
Heck yeah. Yeah, was going to ask you for an introduction and stuff just for people that didn't know the design, and we got it right there. So yeah, if you're unaware of what Doom is or haven't seen the fight between Doom and Samurai, which is on the Battlebots YouTube page, yeah, this is Doom right there. And yeah, I realized I never set this thing up.
Check out the hexadecimator fight.
Yep.
That's the decimator.
Oh
Legend.
yes, check out the hexadecimator fight. So, yeah. So anyway, then we get to another question. We get to another question right here. So, next question is: can you kind of give a recap of the matches you've had in Battlebots and Proving Grounds so far, or like the matches with Samurai Gigabyte, Horizon, then Mortician and Cat Kong at
Right.
least? And can you also just talk about like some of the issues you kind of uncovered at least during that time period and what you did to address them, if anything?
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff.
I'm expecting this one to be lengthy.
First Samurai. Yeah, so first Samurai. This is our first match ever. So it's also Samurai's first match ever.
Yep.
I believe they went along with Minotaur in their crate.
Yep.
So, however, it was our first match in a much different way. I had a total of 0 experience with combat robotics up until this point. Never fought or anything at lower weight classes, nothing. So I think it was okay as a first match. The arm wasn't working at all. The design was really rushed, and the arm, in particular, was extra rushed. And the spinner did spin. No, I think the spinner worked really well that match, actually, for what it was. We were running a dual belt system similar to what Sawblaze runs, except I think Sawblaze uses a timing belt in their first stage before they goes to the arm. So we have two stages of V belts, and it went weapon to weapon with a horizontal. I didn't expect it to survive, but it did somehow. At least the weapon arm did. Now the armor is another story. There's like 20 plus individual armor plates, and they're all bolted together in this really silly mild steel bracket structure on the inside of the robot. And for every armor plate, there's about 3 or 4 seams. So you know how that went. They're really easy for them to tear through the armor and all that. It's still a cool match though. It was pretty entertaining. It's more entertaining than a lot of the other fights we've had. So
it was my favorite. One of my favorites of the 12 unaired matches. It's like I think it probably ranked number 3 or 4, definitely on that list. There were quite a few promising matches in that list, and I thought that one was definitely great. Awesome that the fact that was both y'all's first fight, and we got that quality of a matchup. So
yeah, they barely got that in. They almost canceled it because Rusty broke one of the cameras, I think. So they had to delay it by. They had more matches lined up after that, but they had to cancel those, and they almost canceled ours too. But yeah, we were the second to last match they filmed at filming.
What was the last one? Do you know?
Golden Bolt.
Golden
Final.
Bolt. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Got to lead into the championship of championships. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One of the fights of all time.
Well, then you want to talk about the Proving Grounds matchups?
Okay, so quite a bit actually happened before Proving Grounds. We went to Robogames first.
Oh yeah, we gotta go to Robogames.
Pretty mediocre performance at Robogames as well. We got the arm working. Robogames is really like an impromptu. Like we didn't sign up or anything beforehand. We just kind of showed up because a lot of teams dropped out, so we got a spot that way.
It's good testing grounds regardless for it.
Yeah, we're mainly there just to get some experience and more fight time with the bot. We made a couple of improvements in between Samurai and Proving Grounds. So notably, the arm completely redesigned that transmission inside the robot, and the armor as well also got some upgrades. Instead of like over 20 plates, it was a few plates, larger pieces still bolted together, but bolted directly to the frame as well. So that was a lot stronger. But then the spinner decided not to work that time, so we got unlucky with that. Also, self-riding is a bit wonky as well. So
I mean, you gotta take it one step at a time. So
yeah. That's the idea. Getting everything working at once is proven to be a challenge.
Oh yes.
So then we made some improvements in between that fight and Cat Kong, which were about Robogames actually. So the batteries fell out of the robot in our first match, I think, or second match. The batteries all fell out of Doom. So basically, we had to take some panels off to make weight, and those panels were replaced with duct tape. And so the battery boxes are also they're also designed to be self-contained and like hold together. There's a total of like 4 zip ties on the robot that hold the batteries in the robot, with the battery cases alone, like as a separate assembly. Those zip ties were not in the robot when that happened, and you'll see in the later fight they were not in the robot either. So yeah, that happens. That happens too many times. Yeah, we got to fight Whomper. That was interesting. We won a Rumble, but it was a pretty boring match. This is a pushing match.
Yeah, we were watching it live in the PC.
Quite a few. I was not actually. I ended up watching those separately because I was too busy with college stuff. But yeah, I think I remember the Rumble you're talking about.
But Wood will make him return for 2024 Robogames.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully in a
Excited
lot,
for that.
in much
I
better
love-
condition this time.
I
Love
must
wood.
ask then. I was gonna ask this later on as a side question, less serious question. Well, in a way, it is a little bit serious because it was a serious circumstance. What was kind of your take on the whole arena breach thing? I've asked quite a few teams about that after learning that, including the Terratops
mean,
team when they were on the podcast.
You want to have more powerful weapons, make for a better show, but at a certain point, depending on what your arena is made of, yeah, people start to die and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
unless they significantly improve the arena to like Battlebot standards, I don't. Certain robots should not be allowed in there. Or there should be like a weapon max limit or something.
Yeah,
Or a
because I know
lower
some
limit
I know
of
some
games.
teams who were RoboGames teams last season were talking in the UDA Discord server about like arena concerns basically regarding that.
Yeah,
And
because I don't think Doom would breach, would it? It's just like a 25-pound spinning mass. It's not gonna.
probably not, but
It probably
Well,
can't even reach
yeah, I was
there.
gonna say,
you you,
it
ne-
took
you never know because it was a fork that breached the arena, sent upwards at who knows how many miles per hour by Manta's drum spinner. So, yeah.
yeah.
Certain weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Doom
It
was
was
Yeah,
fun. It
probably
was fun. It was fun hearing Ben's take about that when Terratops was on the podcast for the episode review when Terratops fought Dragon King and BattleBots and yeah, that was great.
Okay. So leading up to the Slimal fight, I actually made a video about this.
Ooh,
It's a pretty elaborate video, but I'll sum it up. I'll show you the video after this.
sure.
But so after Robogames leading up to Slimal fight, electronics packaging was improved. Weight was significantly reduced. Like we were over, like well over 250 with everything on. We made it all the way down to 230, 231, I believe. So tons of weight
Right.
loss. Also took some bolts out, so that helped.
Pretty good diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And spin-up system. This is when we switched from a V-belt to a first stage V-belt to a first stage chain to a second stage V-belt for the spinner. And also supported some drive motors and added a mounting option for a Mad Catter fork that Mason donated to us. So, Silent Fight. First Proving Grounds match. We've got our goals to get into Proving Grounds as early as possible. I think this is the second Proving Grounds event.
Yeah, it was
Ever.
definitely one of the definitely one of the early ones. So I think
Yeah, it was the second
yeah.
one because it was right after Disarray and Terra Dominator.
Yeah, I think if anybody would know the answer to that, it's Pete Saza between him,
Saza's the
Corey, and
expert.
I.
So basically, that fight, we instantly rammed the spinner into the shelf, which completely disabled the spinner. I think it was I don't know exactly what it was, but something with all that. I turned the robot on right after the fight and tested the spinner, and it worked fine. So I'm not sure what happened there, but so the spinner completely got disabled. Actually, we could have been knocked out right then and there if someone hadn't self-righted us because we were upside down. Our clutch was slipping. We weren't able to self-right in those first few seconds, and luckily Simon wanted to continue the fight, so he pushed us over. But then he just controlled the fight for the rest of the fight, and then we got flipped over again, and he didn't help us out that time, which yeah, reasonable. So arm clutch, a pretty annoying problem. That's come up a few times. Just tightening it just right so that it does slip when you want it to, and you don't want it to slip when you don't want it to. So okay, and then so Slamo in that first fight, his arm broke because he was trying to lift the arena at one point in the fight. So it, like, he didn't have a clutch on his arm, so it kind of destroyed itself. So he got replaced with Overkill. Now this is for Doom's first dooming moment. So the spinner did work this time.
Who was
It
Doom
didn't
originally
stop.
supposed to fight? Zassa? Because it wasn't Overkill like a substitute or something that weekend?
It was 2 Slimo fights. It was
Yeah, it was supposed to be
yeah.
because Slimo broke their gearbox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
So it was going really well. We got their wheel, we hit him, we grazed him a couple times, but the spinner was spinning, the arm was swinging. We got our first ever hammer saw hits in, and so Doom doomed a bit too much and exploded its arm while tipping completely over. So this happens. I've watched the match frame by frame, and I've observed that Doom's arm simply wasn't able to handle the spinner's blowback power from cutting through Overkill's 3/8-inch AR-500 blade. It did get a good bit of the way through, like over half an inch into the it's gone from that blade. It's all bent up and mangled, but it's still, the arm of Doom is weaker than that blade, so it blew it up, and then because of that, it wasn't able to self-right either, because the link that got torn off was a link that connects to the sprocket that moves the arm, so that was like half length. But that was some good damage. That was the first time Doom's really done any notable damage to any robot, so that was pretty exciting. Overall, that was a good. I think that was a good Proving Grounds debut.
For sure. Yeah, I always love seeing the improvement of quite a few robots, because like we talked with David Small before this one about Banshee, and he was then talking about how their second match with Maximum Paralysis is kind of when things like all started to come together right, because like he wanted to improve he wanted to improve on the flipper, basically be sure that he's able to launch it multiple times, wanted to make sure the drive was working correctly, and he managed to get them each working like one step at a time, basically. And then that last match at Maximum Paralysis was when he had them like both going at 100%, basically, in the way he wanted it. So yeah, it's nice seeing that Doom is slowly having some of those improvements as well, like what you're saying.
I was actually gonna say, like, Doom has become like one of my favorite stories in BattleBots, because just the way that you're grinding and slowly getting better each time, it's like really inspiring to see, and I'm a big fan of the progress that you've made.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's all in the off season too, which is amazing. Proving Grounds is absolutely open up the doors for a lot of teams.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's so much better to get these things figured out all in the off season versus during the season, like we did World Championship 7. But
sure.
yeah, so it's really good for the sport overall.
Definitely.
So, let's see here. I think after Horizon. So the arm. So I completely redesigned the arm and completely rebuilt it. It's like way beefier. It's, you know, the aluminum, the solid aluminum. It's way more solid. There's a lot less pocketing. There's no pocketing on the outside. It's just on the inside, just a bit, pretty minimal. It's like kind of like Saw Blaze, not as fancy, but same idea. And better belt tensioners, all that quality of life stuff. Yeah. So that arm proved to hold up a lot better. This thicker one, and we fought Horizon. Horizon's interesting. So the first fight, we got high centered on free throw, their mini bot, but driven by Coleman Christie. And they got a couple free hits on us at the beginning of that fight, and they cut our seams. So they did do some significant amount of damage. Our armor isn't all completely welded yet. This is the reason we did completely weld our shell, because anywhere there's seams, there's damage. So just get rid of the seams. But anyways, so Horizon, They took some good chunks out of us. We went weapon to weapon a couple times. Horizons just some crazy movements in the box. They got flipped over. We helped them up, and then yeah. And the arm. So what happens is in the last, I was having trouble with the controls in that fight with going forward and bringing the arm down at the right time. First, they did a lot of damage to our drive in that match. Like I think one side of our rear or front drive was completely disabled. So almost also, there's two things that make it really difficult. First, the drive and swinging down at the same time, driving forward at a decent speed and swinging down at the same time. Plus, Horizon's arm is on a free axle, so when you push into the arm, it just moves out of the way. It doesn't stay in one place. Even with one of their spinners off, or both their spinners off, it just kind of gets out of the way. So there's so many close, like super close hits right there, but unfortunately we couldn't capitalize.
Mm.
We did get the crowd vote though.
Oh yeah.
Half because we could have let them get knocked out or get counted out. Half because it was my birthday, probably. I don't know about that. That's kind of controversial, but
Maybe you got Zaza's vote for that. Assuming Zaza
I was there the
for
next
that
day.
one.
I was there
Okay,
the next day, not
okay, it
that
was
one.
the other one.
the next
But
time was pretty deciding. Though we got knocked out pretty easily.
would you have given Doom the win because of that, Zaza? If you were there that day.
Just because of the birthday, or
Just because of the birthday.
I don't know. Maybe I'd have to watch the fight again.
I think we did okay. I think if we hadn't gotten self-righted by that little stupid wedge bot, we would have done a bit better.
Yeah, it was awesome watching those matches when they were uploaded for Battlebots supporters, because like that one was also where you could really see the improvements Horizon had as well, and coming into that match, and yeah, we saw how much harder that robot hits now, and
Definitely.
Yeah, they got some crazy hits. They
yeah.
They got deep into Doom.
Oh yeah.
I think they nicked one of our battery on the second match. I think they nicked one of our battery connectors because they got so far deep into the panels. There's a whole like inch of air gap between the panels and the inside of the robot, so they got deep.
Yeah, very good.
That was also a place where we had a seam though, so they caught the seam. They got in like over an inch deep into the robot.
Gotcha.
Pretty good damage. So that was also a decent match. We learned a lot, especially with the armor. The armor in particular, let's see. So this is when we welded the armor together. So we completely welded it together, but due to the time constraints, we had to compromise a bit. So I had an internship that was not within driving distance of the shop, at least not during the week. So we can only work and open the shop and work on the robot during the weekends during this time period. And because of that, we had really bad improvised brackets on the armor, and what else was it? It was the armor because the bolt holes seemed to be misaligned. And also, just like an hour or so before the show started, we destroyed both of our weapon motors, our spinner motors, when we were trying to weld the sprocket to the shaft while the shaft was still on the motor. So that was unfortunate. When we were trying to get the shaft on, and the assembly, I think, wasn't going together properly, so we just were gonna weld it onto the shaft directly, and it wasn't. That was not a good idea. It turns out. And this is also the Gigabyte fight. This is also another fight where we didn't have zip ties in the battery boxes. They to be fair, their robot didn't spin either. It would have been a lot worse actually. I'm kind of glad that would have been really nasty.
That would have been brutal.
So yeah, so we just kind of sent it, even without the spinner motors. In retrospect, it might have been smart to drop out with the possibility of a fully spun up gigabyte and no kind of way to do damage. But no, we went. It was just a pushing match, pretty much. We used the arm a little bit, but not much. This is our first self right, like proper
Yeah.
like self right. After the shell came off, of course, but it's still
Yeah.
we
Out
got
of
up. We
curiosity,
got back up.
what caused the shell to come off?
The brackets all snapped. All the brackets we made, the improvised brackets, they all just snapped at the welds because they were just so the armor is 3/16 AR. The brackets are just 3/16 AR protruding from the inside of the armor, like not even any gussets or anything. Just it's really not great. And yeah, that was obviously going to break, and weren't really thinking. So after the match, I figured out that we could have just bolted it directly to the frame, which the brackets were a little different, a bit of a different construction, but we could have just bolted the shell to the frame the other way without a few bolts, just a few bolts missing. We would have actually stayed on during that match, but we didn't do that, and it just fell off. So yeah, that was a really rushed one. It seems that when we're rushed a lot, we don't do well. So yeah, that probably wasn't a smart fight to take, especially with Gigabyte and not having a lot of time to work on the robot during that time period. So another big lessons learned for Doom.
For sure.
All right, but after the Gigabyte match, this is where we have time. We have time to work on our robot, do things right. So we're applying all the lessons we learned up to this point. So the shell is properly mounted now with much larger bolts. There's 7/4 10s, I believe. Yeah, much larger bolts and all directional shock isolation. So we have custom 3D printed grommets for this match. There's 4 of them on the robot. It's just 4 bolts holding the whole shell on. The shell's about 60 or so pounds. We also welded a couple plates onto the shell because the shell's really warped and is not evenly contacting. It's not evenly off the ground. So those red plates on the side, those are making it so there's not a massive 1-inch tall gap over the ground from one side of the robot. And so shell horn mounted with the grommets. The spin-up system was redesigned and rebuilt. So up to this point, we were using a chain, first stage chain, which turned out to be a really bad idea. So we went back to the belts, and luckily that worked out really well. It worked well in the samurai fight. I don't know why. I guess I just wanted to try the first stage chain, to see if it was any better or not. If not to be. So there's also that aspect. That we just wanted to try different things to see if they worked, and it didn't go well, and we know. So yeah, spin up system, and Mason gave us more stuff. He gave us some motors, some new motors in place of the ones we destroyed for the spinner. They're about the same power, just a few more amps. But I'm very lucky to have my Mason.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we got there's 4 V belts on the robot. There's 2 that go into from the spinner motors into the axis of the arm, and then from the axis of the arm to the axis of the spinner. So we have the 4 belts for redundancy, and it seems to have helped us a lot in these fights.
Yeah, certainly.
And those are the main things, just a few quality of life things.
Yeah, because the robot definitely looked a lot better when you fought Mortician and Cat Kong, which I'm sure you're about to get to.
Yeah, aesthetically too. If you have time, we actually make the robot look good. So
yeah, it certainly looks good in that image that I have up there. So.
oh, dude, it looks. You should see you gotta see the one with the Doom logo, or like the first frame of the first fight.
I'll have to see if I can hunt down an image of that, or I'll have to
I
have
think
you
I think it's the
send
best
me
that Doom looked. I have an image. I think it's the best that Doom looked in any fight it's had.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll
He also
throw
had the
that.
LED strips, the solid 24-volt LED strips. Those look pretty nice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we were able to use 3D printed diffusers. So if you look closely at the LEDs, like it really close up, there's like a hexagon pattern in the LEDs. Looks really cool. Yeah. Anyways,
that's awesome.
so with I'm gonna call these the Mordicon fights. This time we had time to do things right, so we applied all lessons we learned. And it turns out that doing things right and having time to do things pays off tremendously. We took a much more time and care into prepping the bot for these matches. This kind of a match would not have been possible during the time that we were like only able to work during the weekends. And so for the first fight, the Doom took pretty minor damage. I think Mortician was able to snipe the. When I drive in these matches, I don't really remember what happens. I have to look at the video a couple times to remember. It's like
That's
right after the
totally
match,
fair.
I don't know what happens. It's just the blank.
We definitely heard the same thing from Marco or Christian when it comes to Daniel remembering those matches. This is from Minotaur.
Yeah. So yeah, Mortician sniped the most significant damage was when Mortician got the arm chain in one of the matches. I think it was the first match. It might have not been, but is there anything in particular I want me to talk about these fights? Because like I can go through the.
I think you probably covered a lot of it because talking about how much better the robots got and how well it's worked.
I mean,
And
the robot just
everything.
worked. This is the first time it's worked all the way.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the arm works, the spinner works, the drive kind of works, the lights work.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, because those two matches were, in my opinion, the best that Doom has ever looked, and I think lots of people here would agree. And yeah, like Pori said, like hearing the story about how Doom got to be so much better ever since we were first hearing about it, and then when somebody announced that Doom sadly had to drop out, unfortunately, just hearing how much better the robot has gotten since that moment, at least, that's so awesome to hear. And yeah, for sure, thanks for sharing all that. Anyway.
So also another big change we made in between the Robogames and Simul fight was a lower center of gravity. So if you look at Doom before the Simul fight, it's like a triangle. The middle, like that structure in the middle, is like a triangle more like. We kind of shaved it down so it's less of a triangle. It's like the point of the triangle is like flat. So I think the weapon axis or the arm axis dropped by like 2 inches. So overall, the design that made the design a lot more a lot sleeker, a lot harder to tip over and stuff like that, a lot more stable, and that was a big contributor to the following matches.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that stuff. And yeah, so I'll move on to the next question then. Basically, what is your favorite match of Proving Grounds so far? Whether it's one of your fights, one of the other Proving Grounds matches, one of each, like what David Small answered with.
I haven't seen many of the other Proving Grounds matches. Jackpot and Gigabyte, probably.
Ooh, yeah,
That's a good one.
That was pretty sweet.
That one was awesome. Yeah, see,
I saw that one live, so it's like.
Yeah, the cameras don't do it justice.
That was a crazy effect.
Thought someone was gonna die.
Yeah.
One of the crew guys, Sam, got like knocked on his ass because of that impact. Yeah.
Yeah, Zazzo talked about the Manta and Triton weapon on weapon shots, what's going on there and everything, and it's just crazy stuff to hear. And almost wish I was in Vegas for that, but sadly I'm a Midwestern, so it's harder for me to get
It's
down
it's
there for
always
that
it's
stuff.
always hard to like really grasp how utterly terrifying these things that we watch on TV are until you're
Mhm.
next to them and you
Yeah.
see the damage they're doing.
Yeah, like getting
And like,
Yeah, that was a
hearing Civilian Arc's thoughts, because he attended Battlebots last season.
mm,
For people who don't know, hearing his reaction to fusion and emulsifier, and
mm.
everything, and then even Claw Viper and Ominous as well, since he is a Claw Viper fan himself, and yeah,
And
hearing his reaction to actually getting to see that stuff in person is incredible.
and it's not even just seeing them in battle either. Like I don't think it really hit for me just how dangerous these things are until uh, seeing Manta versus Triton, and that's one of the great things with Proving Grounds. If you're able to go to them, is you can go backstage and see the robots. You know, less than an hour after the fight, and you can see the shape they're in, and the
Oh yeah.
way that Manta bent Triton's enormous 80-pound weapon like like it looked almost like a boomerang. It was crazy. It's just like
Holy
holy
crap.
cow, if you touch that thing, it will liquefy you.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
drive testing in general is like
Mm,
if you ever drive tested a BattleBot in the wherever you are, they're
mm,
pretty scary. Just like driving alone, it's,
mm,
it can easily break your leg or whatever.
mm.
Like I put my leg against it and then driven just a little bit on the throttle, and it's like it's unmatched power.
Oh, almost
Yeah,
certainly.
pretty scary machines. Also, that was a big realization we had when we went into season 7. Before, I designed Doom before the first time I designed Doom. I designed it before I had actually seen a BattleBot in person. I'd never seen a BattleBot in person up until like halfway through the build process. They went to a local uh, the SCAR event, SoCal Attack Robotics, and I saw the Malice and Gigabyte. Yeah, that was like I'd never seen a fight in person. I'd never seen a BattleBot in person, so that was a wake up call.
Yeah, it was kind of, in a way, my wake up call was basically because I haven't seen a Battlebot in person before, but I am a parts collector myself. I kind of got that treatment when I got my first part, which was a Valkyrie wheel from the Lockjaw fight, where I was just stunned like how massive that thing is, and then just trying to
Mhm.
imagine what the full robot looks like in size is with that thing
Yeah.
there, and it's just incredible stuff, and I'm hoping at some point to go to uh crap, what is it? I keep forgetting the name of the competition in Illinois. I'm blanking out on it, but yeah, it's the closest big event to me, and yeah. So anyway, then next question. I'll probably ask Kyle from Hypershock's question because I think he sent in a pretty good one to ask about. And it kind of relates to some of the stuff you were talking about too. What design challenge do you feel is critical to overcome so that way your robot's able to reach the next level?
Two things. So the current Doom, the current build we have, the current bot we have, it needs a lot of drive improvements. Like uh, right now, we're only running the drive motors at 2/3 capacity, max, because we're running 7500s on like a 7500 watt capable motors. So we want to use the full watts. We're only using 5000 at most right now. So we want to go up to a 30,000 watt drive and better wheels. Right now, the wheels are really slippery. We need softer wheels, neoprene wheels probably, or cast urethane. We'll see.
Brazil wheels?
Uh, we got to cast them. There's no way I'm paying for those.
Fair.
I was mostly joking about that because like Brazilian robots tend to be some of my favorite battle bots, and yeah, I always
I would
joke
love some
about
Brazil
some of that.
wheels,
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah.
They costly.
yep. Costly and then
So drive.
also weight, I imagine, and could be another
Hmm.
thing.
Thinking about magnets as well with the extra drive power. Also, ground game's a big one. We have no ground game at the moment except for that Mad Catter fork. We have two Mad Catter forks. I'm gonna try to use those for some form of ground game, along with a few other things. There's some things on top plates I see that I really like, so we'll get around to that, especially before our next Proving Grounds fight. And the second thing is new Doom. The current Doom is it's a Swiss Doom cheese at the moment. It's been through quite a lot with all its fights and all the upgrades, improvements, modifications, whatever. So there's it's running out of places to drill holes in the robot, basically. So we need a new robot, and
Totally
that way
fair.
we can also upgrade from 12S to 16S and all that. So
Then, based on that hint, are we going to be seeing Doom once again in Proving Grounds in the future, if you're able to reveal?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want to. We have who we're fighting. There's no date yet, but I've been talking with the team. We're gonna fight.
Are you able to
Battlebots
reveal
fighting.
who you're fighting? If you're not able to reveal, that's
I don't know. It's not like I'm not allowed to. I just don't know if they want to yet.
That's okay. You don't have
That's
to
fair.
reveal it.
Yeah, no
we
worries.
totally understand because we don't want it.
Yeah.
We don't want any confidential info like that going
No,
out.
but we are fighting a much higher level opponent.
Awesome.
So that's the idea. We want to fight higher and higher level opponents to learn not only learn more about a robot, but also get the experience of fighting the top 50.
End game, got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, let's all take a bet, right? Let's all try to take a prediction. Who do we think is Doom gonna be? Who do we think Doom is gonna be fighting? My prediction's gonna be Jackpot.
I was gonna say my guess was gonna be Jackpot.
Zassa,
Y'all are bored.
Zassa, you got a serious guess?
Yeah, Doom's taking a breather right now.
Yep.
Part of me is tempted to say that it might be like a Gigabyte rematch, just because they didn't really get to show off too much in that one. But I think I might go with Malice on this one.
Ooh.
Fight Force.
Fight Force. He joins in partway through this interview, and then he comments Bite Force right there.
Yeah.
Cobalt.
Yeah. Cobalt.
Dude, absolutely. Cobalt.
All you gotta do is flip them over, and then you win, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go.
It's true, they don't have a self-righting mechanism, man. It's such a shame. Shout outs to Real New Deal.
No, but also, are you planning, or did you apply to season 8 of the show?
Assuming
Yeah,
it's happening.
we've shown interest.
Cool.
I don't know how to press the submit button. There's no submit button on the website, so I had to figure that out. But
it's possible. It's possible.
I hope by this point Greg's aware you're interested in the show.
I've talked to Greg though. I've been talking with Greg. Greg knows I'm definitely
around 6 times.
Yeah.
They know me for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That does raise an interesting question then, since Doom has had more Proving Grounds fights than any other robot, other than maybe the Overkill bot that gets subbed in. How do you feel that experience affects your hopes of getting back on the show?
At this point, I think it would be somewhat reasonable to let Doom back as a main competitor. To feel better about it, I think we should do some more Proving Grounds fights to really make it undoubtful.
Oh, definitely.
Don't want to leave anything a chance. We want to make sure we're getting. So.
Yeah, we've been seeing it getting better and better, and definitely seeing it with the new robot, and with whatever other updates made to it. Be really cool to see what it's able to do, and especially since you make it sound like it's probably a higher tier opponent too. That's going to be an excellent test to see how well it would do against quite a few of these high level teams. Since I can't imagine that if you were to get into the next season of BattleBots, you draw at least 2 of those huge names.
And that's who I'm going to be fighting, so I got to be prepared.
Yeah. Exactly. So
We've made a whole. We've made at least a whole season's worth of upgrades. Or
Mhm.
we got like a whole season's worth of experience. Everything we lost in season 7, we've made up for, and then some.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys have had. I think since the samurai fight, I think you guys have had as many fights in the last year as Sawblaze, which is pretty crazy to think about.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's
11,
part. It's
11
partly
fights.
why I also like some of these like veteran teams getting involved because like seeing Jackpot and Disarray take on each other, like that's really good experience for the Disarray team taking on a big name
Mhm.
like Jackpot, and then
Oh
watching
yeah.
your robot take on Doom or take on Gigabyte. Right, basically is another good
Yeah, they make
example
two
of that.
dooms
Like,
fight each other. Yeah.
yeah, you can make the Dooms fight each other. I mean, there was always
Hmm.
Had
talks of like
the
the hyper
ultimate veteran
shocks.
experience of fighting
Yeah,
Hexadecimator.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's great. It's great experience for lots of these new teams, like having them take on some of these, having them take on some of the rookies. So,
Yeah,
yeah. I think
and
having the
I
rookies take
also
on some of the big
sorry.
names.
I
You were
think
saying?
Oh, I mean, there's more points to the question, right? For the getting into the BattleBots beyond just the.
Yeah,
I have some
I
points
was
here.
gonna ask in the future, like what factors do you think kind of make you stand out, at least, whether it's that like experience or so on, like whatever factors you think best help you.
Well, Doom's barely, in my opinion, Doom's barely done anything as far as its potential goes. Not compared to other robots, but compared to what I think it's capable of. I think it can do a lot. It's still very far from that. So it is a one of a kind machine, and as time goes on, it will only separate itself from the crowd more and more. I do have a new weapon system planned. It's not like a fully different weapon. It's like a modular type thing with I don't want to reveal too much yet, but that's like after season 8 kind of thing.
That's
Oh,
But
totally
cool.
cool.
it'll be a world's first type weapon. So
Oh,
that'll be really
Ooh.
interesting to see.
I'm interested. Well,
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
whenever you're able to
Whatever.
reveal it, of course, and yeah.
Yeah. And then I think the design of Doom is its greatest strength. I I really go out of my way to make something that stands out. Um, I think that during a fight, Doom is unlike a lot of other bots on the field. You know, it's not just another vert. Sometimes it's a vert, but it's Doom. It's a Doom. So it has an arm.
Doom.
Doom.
And
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
heard like some people say the Mordecai fights are like some of the best Proving Grounds fights they've seen. So
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it was awesome
I should
stuff
only
to
get
see.
better from there as far as Doom's performance goes.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're taking our time right now, ironing out all the kinks, quality of life things, you know, making sure that it works more and more consistently, more just a lot better. We want to get the current Doom to 100%, and once that's done, we want to start working on the second Doom.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
is the current Doom the one that's going to be showing up at Robogames, or are you planning for that to
Yeah,
be Doom 2?
yeah. I don't think we're gonna have Doom 2 ready for like a while, so
Gotcha.
the current one, because I want to do like new manufacturing techniques and stuff we haven't done in the past. I want to make it as good as I can. So, like, we got access to CNC machines now. I just have to learn how to program them, and then we can do like more interesting things.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Awesome stuff to hear. So yeah, I'll ask you Darren's question next. If you could redo any of your matches so far, so we'll add the BattleBots and we'll add the RoboGames matches too, since you talked about those, because why not? Uh, which match would you choose, and what would you do differently in that match?
I think Robo Games because my robot would actually work probably.
Well, is there a specific fight you would
Um,
choose, or if you want all of them, go for it. I don't care.
yeah, sure. All of Robo Games. Um, I gotta. Wood's gotta come back strong. We gotta be
Oh,
the woodest robot of all time. Yeah, I think Robo Games is gonna be really fun for Doom
Oh,
as long as no
definitely.
one no one breaches the arena.
as long as we don't see
Fingers crossed it's not you this time.
as long as we
Yeah.
don't see Manta and Doom go into the arena with each other. Manta goes weapon on weapon with Doom, and then Doom's spinner ends up going through the roof of the arena.
It's not super likely. I mean, Doom's arm will come back. It will absorb a lot of that energy. So I think Doom's a relatively safe robot as far as breaching the arena goes.
Probably, but or if it's one of those Mad Catter forks, if you end up using that against.
Oh yeah,
against
that'll probably go through.
Because I mean, that's what happened the first time was a Terratops fork that went through. So
Mhm.
yeah. So anyway, you kind of touched on this one a little bit when you were talking about when you were recapping the Samurai fight, the Robogames matches, and your time at Proving Grounds so far. But like this is like the first time that Battlebots has done Proving Grounds since they haven't had the opportunity to be able to do something like this in the past, basically. What are kind of some of your opinions on Proving Grounds? Basic opinions on it, like did you like it? Did you not like it? And why, basically?
I love Proving Grounds. I mean, that's the only way we could get so much experience on the off season. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's the way so many other teams can get so much experience in the off season. Gonna make like the next season great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Gonna be
For,
a lot less dead matches and whatnot. It's gonna be
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, because we were talking with David Small about that, and yeah, he definitely talked about how it's a great way for new teams and even veteran teams to test out the robots, test out upgrades, and yeah, I referenced how we've seen Cobalt driving around the arena a couple times,
Yeah,
and it's a
Gigabyte
great
too. They've been
opportunity.
going pretty often.
Yeah, it's a shame it's hard for international teams to kind of get this opportunity though, which was one of the problems that that David addressed basically. Just the fact that there are some teams that have to travel long ways to get there, and some teams that have to travel across the world to get there, like Chris
Yeah,
Danby did for Apex. So
here that gets pretty expensive.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I love Proving Grounds just because it's just such a great opportunity for lots of the new teams and even the veteran teams to test out
Oh yeah,
upgrades, and it'll make it less likely for them to have less likely for teams to experience lots of these first round gremlins. I'm sure it'll happen regardless, but makes it less likely. So
and we are very well positioned for Proving Grounds. We're only like 4 hours away, 4 hour
yeah,
drive. So
exactly.
I've done it enough times where I really don't mind just driving there just to test something. So we're gonna be going more often just to test the robot, not even to fight. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
got to use Proving Grounds as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, including getting to hear about all the growth within Doom, even though I've said that like 4 times so far. And yeah, so anyway, let's see, what haven't we touched on, if anything? Yeah, are there any robots that you'd be interested in fighting, like in the future, whether it's like current Battlebots field or Proving Grounds field in the future,
Or even Robo games.
or Robogames will give you that as well.
Robots. These Subways.
Ooh.
I like to fight Subways.
Going right for the big guys. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was always when I did this Newcomer podcast last time for lots of the teams looking to get into the recent season. Tombstone was always the most popular answer and everything.
Well, I mean, it worked out for Endgame, so
Yeah,
who
it worked
knows?
out. So
I mean,
yeah,
how am I going to win if I don't fight the winners?
yeah,
You got a
exactly.
point.
Gotta
Because
get
you're
that
probably gonna have to
experience.
go through many big names. Yeah,
Any robots you're scared of fighting?
Doom. Probably Doom.
It's like that robot. So it's like the Orbitron team infuses some of the AI technology they use for that robot, and then Doom just goes rogue because of it and everything. Oh, yeah, it's exciting times. So, Pori, Zaza, or Mantine as well. You guys have questions for the Doom team?
I think I've asked most of
Any-
mine.
You got anything, Pori or Mantine?
No, I think I pretty much asked everything that came to mind.
Yeah, same here.
Actually, one question that does occur to me, as someone who jumped into robot building right at the top level, what advice would you have for people who are trying to get into robots?
Good question.
Get into BattleBots or just get into combat robots or just robotics in general?
Either or.
Yep.
Take your pick.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, BattleBots is great for networking if you want to get into the field of robotics or high level engineering in general. BattleBots is meet a lot of great people there that way. I would recommend for most people just to join a BattleBots team, then build your own BattleBot. It's a way different experience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it would have been easy enough for me just to join a team, but I did want to make my own bot because I had my own ideas, so I
Oh yeah,
went for
that's
it.
totally fair. And yeah, we've been seeing
Huge
kind of
huge
success
time
so far.
sink. It's just it's a lot of hours. Like I basically can't do when I was doing my internship, I basically couldn't do like an internship and BattleBots at the same time effectively. I had to sacrifice one or the other, So
Mm.
you got to be involved. It's a good thing if you have a team with multiple involved people, so you can probably put in less hours, but your whole team is working on it, so you can all put in a certain amount of hours and get things done that way.
Gotcha.
But it's hard to find. It's really hard to find people that can really put in a lot of work. So for free, especially. So yeah. You have to be passionate about it. I'm very passionate about creating things in general, engineering. So that's one of the things that keeps me going. I want to. It's a very rewarding experience to have a BattleBot, be building a BattleBot. So yeah, I think it's worth it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm hoping to get more involved with it in the future once I graduate college after this spring. I don't know if I'd go the direction of going to full heavyweight at first. Not that I'm saying that's a bad idea, at least. It's just I feel like I'm going to go the route that's kind of like start small, because like what I was doing earlier, because I was part of a robotics club down here, and I built my first combat robot, which is a 1 pound robot that was 60% underweight. Forgot to be completely fair, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun stuff to do, and it's awesome commitments. So
I mean, it seems there's more money in the lower weight classes than there are in BattleBots. There's in BattleBots with NHRL.
oh yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So I built my first Beetle like after I did BattleBots, so that was kind of a breather.
Awesome to hear. Oh
I do
well.
want to scale it up to heavyweight eventually, but that's another story.
Ah, gotcha. So yeah, any final thoughts before we close out this interview?
I'll share stuff. I have a YouTube channel. I post Doom content there occasionally.
Yep. I'll be sure to link it all
That
down in the description for people watching to be able
especially
to check
for
out.
the latest video. That's a lot of good information about the Simo fight, the first Proving Grounds fight. So.
Gotta love hearing the car horn in the background of I think Corey saying.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Hey, shut the fuck up out there!
Oh,
God
man.
damn,
I've
bro.
also got a lot of good screenshots from especially the Mortician CatCon fight. So let me know
Oh
where to
yeah,
put those.
absolutely. Yeah, and I remember Ray Billings posted a camera view thing from that match of from Mortician, and which is awesome to see. And but yeah, I'll be sure to have all that stuff linked down in the description for people watching to
And
be able to check it out.
Ian Davis too. That was interesting.
Oh yeah.
I met him at Open Sauce, and he liked BattleBot, so I invited him, and he was actually really resourceful, really helpful. He's a really smart dude, like top notch engineer, manufacturing engineer. So
For sure.
he helped with a couple things as well.
Yeah, because I remember hearing because I remember BattleBots talking about how Ray Billings is real helpful towards helping the AB 94 team out back then when they had questions about stuff like this, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing the kind of builder community that there is out there, at least, and yeah,
He took a video
there's
of
no
the match too, but I don't know where he
yeah.
put that.
Yeah, and then
So I'll ask him about that.
and then knowing how much Jeff Waters has helped out with quite a few teams, like he helped Roundhouse with their weapon issues out, and then
Oh,
yeah, and
I've gotten
yeah,
so much help from so many teams. I can't name everyone. There's so many people, but we get help everywhere from
yeah. I
everyone.
remember when Witch
It's a great
Doctor had the.
community.
I remember when the Witch Doctor team had the giant list of teams that helped them get ready for the Bite Force fight and the 2019 season, because it sounds like Witch
Yeah, I
Doctor
gotta
was having spare part
I gotta put
problems, and
together a
so
list.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, anybody else have anything else left to mention here, or should we close out this segment?
Think I'm good.
All right. So yeah, uh, that'll do it for this segment. So thanks to Alejandro for joining us for this one and talking about Doom for this one. It was awesome getting to hear the story of that robot so far and hear just how well Proving Grounds has like improved the robot and given you such great experience during this time. And I think that'll definitely help a lot when it comes to getting into the next season of BattleBots for sure, because experience
Already
definitely is a
has.
big thing, and definitely more.
Yeah,
Definitely as the fight's been getting
definitely.
more entertaining, that's always big as well, since I know Munson likes to look for that stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get to the next robot.